Moms demand action for gun sense in America. It's an ultra-leftist anti-gun group that's been winning battle after battle after battle, and they just exposed their hand. How are they winning? How are they getting these companies to go anti-gun? Stick by and watch this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. If you like information about the Second Amendment and you want it as fast as possible, you need to do yourself a favor and subscribe now, because this is where you're going to get it almost on a daily basis, pretty much as fast as it happens. So what do I mean about how is moms demand action winning their battles? Well, in the wake of the Walmart announcement, you know what I'm talking about. If not, watch the video above. That'll give you all the information you need. But immediately, Moms Demand Action were claiming victory. Now the group, they call themselves a grassroots group, they were behind the scenes the entire time, pushing Walmart to make this decision. If you're not familiar with what Moms Demand Action is, it's an anti-gun group funded by Michael Bloomberg, founded the day after the Sandy Hook shooting back in 2012. They began by lobbying for the closure of a background check loophole, which ultimately they didn't get. So that kind of launched them on this trajectory that they are on, and that brings us to where we are today. The group's founder, Shannon Watts, had this to say when talking about their beginnings and how they started for that, like I said, that loophole they call, and they weren't successful. She says, "We pivoted and started doing this work in state houses and boardrooms, knowing that, like many social issues, that's how you will build political power and momentum. If you want to go toe-to-toe with a special interest, you have to change this on really 3 levels: legislatively, electorally, and culturally." Well, she's right. And they did that the following year in 2013 with Starbucks. Up until that time, Starbucks, like many chains, they allowed open carry as long as it was legal in the state that the store was in. Then Starbucks made an announcement they were requesting their customers not smoke in front of the building because of secondhand smoke. That is when Moms Demand Action saw their opening and they pounced. The founder, Ms. Watts, continues saying, "We decided we were more afraid of secondhand bullets than secondhand smoke." They then spoke with Starbucks and learned that they plan to stay neutral regarding firearms because it was legal. Well, that's when they organized a mom cot. In their own words, a mom cot is where mothers use social media to make images of open carry go viral and post it about having coffee at home or at competitors' establishments because of the guns. Now they say, perhaps predictably, some pro-gun activists started showing up in Starbucks open carrying. You saw that happen at Walmart. You see that happen anytime there's some type of back and forth about guns. Like, you get people who show up proving, hey, we can do this. And they're using it to their advantage. They're using it to our demise. So please pay attention. And because enough people showed up at Starbucks with guns, open carrying, and even semi-automatic rifles, it was enough to convince the CEO, Howard Schultz, to change his mind. Within 3 months, Starbucks came out with their now famous request that guns were no longer allowed in their stores. Not just open carry, but any. Yeah. And then Watts says, "We then realized that was something that we could replicate in order to force this cultural change at other companies." In 2014, they shamed Chipotle into the same open carry ban, and they did the exact same thing for Target in the same year. They also did it for several other businesses. Watts says they focus on open carry because the practice is legal in 45 states, and 41 have little regulation, meaning that it's often possible to legally carry a long gun without a background check, training, or permit. Now, she's absolutely lying, but the sheep eat this stuff up. The group then launched their attack on Kroger and Walmart in 2014. It's taken that long, but this year, Kroger and Walmart both came out and said, no more guns in the stores. At least Walmart has said no more open carry. You can still concealed carry if your state allows that. But it's happening. Every place that they've gone is starting to fall. The group has gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures and petitions in numerous states. and kept the pressure on these CEOs. Even a recent survey by a place called Edelman, I guess they do surveys, they found last week that if a CEO takes action to reduce gun violence, customers say they are more likely to purchase that company's products by a 4-to-1 margin. Of course, we're in a time right now where there's bipartisan support for stricter gun control laws and background checks and red flag laws. So this is where they're going to make up their ground. Now, this same group has been a part of, they're not the only one responsible, but they're one of a few activist groups that have been working together to get red flag laws passed in numerous states, bump stock bans passed in numerous states, enhanced background checks in numerous states, and now they're focusing on the feds. And of course, you've all heard about that letter last week where hundreds of major CEOs and major corporations penned a letter begging for gun control. Begging! Well, we all know that we, the citizens, have the rights, not Congress. Congress doesn't have the powers unless it's given to them in the Constitution. They've forgotten that. It's our job to remind them of that. One special interest group or 3 or 4 of these anti-gun groups don't get to make policy, they don't get to make legislation, and they sure as hell don't get to change the Constitution. But our representatives will cave if enough big names, big corporations, big dollars tell them to. Just like how President Trump won when the silent majority spoke up against what was going on and what Clinton planned to do. That is exactly what Moms Demand Action are doing right now. And we, the silent majority, are being silent. You can't sit by and say, it doesn't bother me. You can't be a FUD right now. You can't be somebody who's only worried about shotgunning. You can't be somebody who's only worried about skeet. You can't be somebody who's only worried about concealed carry. You can't be somebody who's only focused on tactical carry or shooting. You can't be somebody who's only worried about this type of training. We all have to band together. We're the biggest group in the country, but we're by far the most easily fractured group and the most fractured group. And it's time for us to pull together. Join groups like Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition, your local state groups that are fighting the fight, doing the right thing. It's time, folks, for us to get past our differences, past the fact that you like SIG and I like Glock, or I'm a 45 guy and you're a 9 guy. That stuff is done. Get over it. Let's join together, let's be brothers and sisters, and let's save the Constitution. Make those phone calls. Show up to your state's offices and make yourselves heard. Call your representatives in Congress and make yourselves heard. I'll have the Congress phone numbers down below to make it easy for you. Call the White House and make yourself heard. I'll have the number down below to make it easy for you. We can no longer sit by and think that the Constitution is going to help us win, because it's an all-out attack on the Second Amendment, and the only defense it has is you and me. As always, I thank you for your time and ask you to please pass this along, because Moms Demand Action are kicking ass right now, and they just gave up how they're doing it. They're talking to CEOs. They're talking to people with money. They're talking to politicians. We need to do the same. I gotta believe there's some CEOs left who care about what's right. Let's see. Let's back those who are. Until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Be safe, stay vigilant, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and carry your weapons. Take care, everybody.